All right, today I'm gonna start tackling the electrical system in this boat, and I started last night, so I'll show you what I've done so far. I've got just a rat's nest of wires in here. Here's the fuse panel. So it looks like they tried to organize this stuff somewhat. It's got some zip ties on it. They're done up into bundles and everything, but I just want it to be cleaner. So the other thing is I've got a battery switch here, but the only thing it's connected to is the actual motor itself. So all of the accessories, lights and radio and all that have power all the time, and they're using this fuse block, I guess, as a distribution panel, the fuses, and then it goes over here to the switch panel and then to whatever the load is. So a lot of bad connections, it seems like, though, because like you can see some of these switches, see that one will turn red. Sometimes some of these don't turn red, like they don't have power. I don't know. And you see this thing flickering, and then you can wiggle some wires up in here and get it to work. So I don't know, there's some bad connections, and to straighten all this up, what I did is they had this 2-bank charger, which is great. I'm gonna continue using it because I got 2 batteries. I got one on this side and then one over here on this side. But what I did is I went and got, well, let me back up. They had this mounted in here, and what they did is they took just a 1x piece of wood and screwed it in from the top right here. So it was up under there, and they just screwed the charger to it. So the charger was sitting in there like that. What I'm gonna do is I went to Walmart and bought a big cutting board. I think this one was like 20 by 15 or something like that. And I cut just a little bit off of, I cut maybe 1.5 inches off of the long ways, 1.5 inches off of the short ways, so that it would fit in here. So I screwed it to that board. So now I got a panel I can screw to, and it's plastic, so it won't ever deteriorate or anything. So what I'm going to do, I think, is mount the battery charger like that, and then I'll have this other open space over here. I'm going to put my fuse panel, and I'm also going to mount the solar charge control probably up top, up in this corner here somewhere. So I'll have all my electrical stuff there. I'm going to reroute these wires, make them look all nice and neat. I'm also going to tie in, like I said, they use this as a power and ground distribution. So I do have one cable coming in, and it's just off of this one battery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it from there and connect it up here to the switch. I want to be able to hit this switch and turn everything in the boat off. So anyway, that's where I'm going to start. And then I've got to start tracing everything back to the switch panel and to the fuse panel. I have a feeling I'm gonna take this loose here in just a sec, but just from looking at it on the back side, I think these switches and stuff have a lot of corrosion on them, and probably what I'm gonna do is I don't know if that light comes on for the builds. Probably what I'm gonna do is measure the hole right here and just order a replacement switch panel off Amazon or something. Anyway, it's just gonna take some time to sort all this out. Like I said, I think I'm gonna have to order a switch panel think I'm gonna order a new one of these. Actually, let's take that off and look at it. All right, I didn't film a lot of what I did yesterday and today on the electrical sort out because frankly it's just pretty boring. But I'll show you what I got going here. I think I've got everything pretty well done. So this hole right here, it looks kind of nasty, but I just ran my power cord for my charger out of that so I don't ever have to open the lid. But then here's what it looks like now. It looks a little bit cleaner. It's not such a rat's nest. I've got my fuse panel mounted to this plastic cutting board along with my battery charger, and then I put my solar charge controller over here on this side. But this fuse block is nice. I've got negative ground bank up top, and then I just have to run one power wire to it down here at the bottom, and it feeds all the circuits. It's pretty nice. It's funny, I got a lot of grounds, but I've only got 2 fused circuits here. One for the new switch panel and one for the radio, and that's it. Everything's pretty well controlled from the control panel, and I've got a 20 amp fuse in there, so hopefully that'll be enough. We'll see. I didn't do all the math and everything, so I'm just hoping. But I've got the lights. Actually, first thing I did is tied everything into my battery switch right here. So now when it's off, everything is off. So let's switch it over to battery 1. And this new switch panel is pretty sweet. So all the lights light up here. I've got a voltage gauge showing 13 volts. I've got a 12 volt cigarette lighter outlet, and I've also got a dual quick charge 3.0 socket right there. But I do have my lights. And here, sorry guys, I'm filling my water tank over here. Okay, so first thing I got is my lights. So I added these small strip lights throughout, so you can turn them on and off here. I've got one up in the front, I've got one on this side also. And then also I traced power all the way up to this switch panel, and I just got rid of the interior light switch, so there's nothing hooked to that. But on the running lights, I've got the forward and aft, and then I've got also on the mast, I've got spreader lights, and I've got an anchor light. So all these switches work. I've got my new lights in here. I did add a USB plug up here on the pedestal, and this one's pretty nice because it's got an on-off switch, and it's also got a battery voltage readout. So I thought that was pretty slick. So I do have a small light on the front and the back of the pedestal, and then that cigarette lighter, or that USB outlet I mean, and that'll be used to power my tablet. And I've got it labeled as a little steering wheel on here, so that feeds power up to the pedestal for my lights and my USB, so I can turn that on and off. Let's see, let's start at the top. Lights, I got a little satellite button. I didn't know what to use for radio, but that's my VHF radio, so I can turn that on, and it's actually tied into this light as well. So with that switch, I got a light and I've got my VHF radio, and this light's kind of neat because it has a dimmer on it. And then I've also got my depth sounder. I turn that on. Outside there is a depth finder to tell me how deep I am. This battery one I left blank, but I didn't hook anything to right this second, but I am gonna hook up this old cigarette lighter outlet. I'm gonna hook up this analog DC voltmeter, and I'm probably gonna add a USB plug back here so that if you're sleeping, you've got a place to charge your phone close by. And then I've also got this bottom one is for the water pump, which is why I'm filling this up right now. As a matter of fact, it's getting pretty close to being full. Let me turn this off. All right. So the previous owner got me set up pretty good here, and I got a chance to go through the electrical system here. This is a water tank. I think it's 20 gallons or so. And it's just got one outlet at the bottom. And see, this hose runs up to a water pump right here, which pressurizes it. And then you can see it tees off down here. So one tee goes over here to the galley faucet. The other one goes to the restroom faucet. Now the restroom faucet also has a shower head attached with a long hose. So what you can do is run this up and out to the cockpit. You can put up a little shower curtain if you want to, and you can actually take a shower out here. Now, cold shower can be kind of good on a hot day like today, but I've also got a water heater in here. So actually that tee doesn't go directly to the restroom faucet. What it does is it runs over here to the hot water heater, and then from the hot water heater back over to the faucet. So you can fire that up and take a hot shower if you want to, which is pretty nice. Anyway, I've just got done filling it up, and I'll show you guys how it works with the galley faucet. All right, so I got power. Now you can hear that thing running. Should be building pressure. And well, something's not working. Okay, I figured it out. It's something simple. I had the valve for the water tank wasn't turned on. I had it turned off while I was hooking everything up. So let's try this again. All right, so there we go. I can hear the water going now. All right. Okay, so now it turned off. It built up enough pressure. So check it out. I've got running water in the galley here. I'm rinse my sink out. It's nasty. There we go. All right, I got water. Let's turn it on. All right, let's check out the shower. Pull. This is the shower curtain. This is a boat bumper the guy made. This thing. All right, pull this hose up here. Now let's hey, look. Oh, look at that. Pretty slick. All right. Anyway, electrical is pretty much done. I got a few little things to wrap up on it. I got my water turned on today. Man, moving along here. I mean, I think as she stands right now, the only thing I don't have is my shore power. So that'll be the next thing to troubleshoot, but it's its own system, so it shouldn't be too awfully bad. Only got 2 outlets, a breaker panel and a hookup on the outside here. So it's only like 4 things to look at, chase the wiring. Anyway, yeah, I just got to get her cleaned up now and she's about ready to go. Got the bimini figured out, got my arch on. Oh, that's the other thing, I got to get my solar panel mounted. Keep my batteries charged while I'm not here at home. While we're out on the lake or in the Gulf of Mexico or wherever. All right, it's another day and I'm still working on the electrical here. I did look at my AC circuits in the boat, and I think what I've determined is everything looks good. And I guess that day that I found that the shore power was popping the breaker in my house every time I hooked it up right here. The only thing I can think is that maybe I had the plug plugged into the boat incorrectly, because I can plug it in now and everything operates fine. I checked everything with a meter and everything turns out fine. So I'm just gonna let that one slide. I checked my connections, I checked the whole AC system and everything looks good. So, and it's working. So I'm gonna let that go. It's got a main breaker in there, so if something were to happen, trip the breaker. Got 2 outlets inside the boat, really is all it runs. So I can plug in my hot water heater and my battery charger. My generator will run my AC unit. So anyway, got my DC figured out. I've got my AC figured out. And now the last piece of this puzzle is the solar panel. So that's what I'm gonna work on now. So I've been trying to figure out how I want to mount this thing onto the arch, and I've got these 2 pieces of plastic where the joints are back here, and I think what I'm going to try to do is, I went to Home Depot and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I got this square piece of aluminum. It's 3/4 inch, 1/16 thickness, and it's a 4-foot stick. And it seems, you know, really sturdy. There's no flex to it or anything. And I'm gonna mount the solar panel sideways, like this, long way. So just pretty much how it's sitting on the table is how it's gonna go on the arch. And what I'm gonna do is basically cut this piece of square tubing in half and make 2 cross braces spaced where the plastic pieces are up there. So I'll have these on here, and then I can drill a couple holes where the plastic pieces are and mount this to the plastic pieces. And I guess that should be it. Then I can run my wires. And here's another thing I had to figure out, is how do I get these big old fat wires inside the boat? So these are short, and I've got these longer ones here that connect to this, and then these will run inside to the charge controller, which I already have mounted inside. I've got the charge controller mounted, and I've got it already connected to the batteries as well. But what I had to figure out is how to get these wires run inside the boat, you know, in a way that it'll be waterproof, so I don't get water in the boat. And what I found on Amazon is this thing here, and it's called I think they call it a solar wire entry gland, is what they call it on Amazon. And this one was only like $8 or $9. It wasn't much, but it's got these little rubber seals here. It says it fits wire from 2mm to 6mm. And when I got these, I was like, man, that's way too big for the wire I got. But once you put the wire in, you run it in, and then you tighten it down like this, and it actually provides a really good seal around the wire.
So you can see right there, it's sealed up around that wire. Now, I can pull it out, but you can see the difference in the sizes of the holes. So got one expanded and one tightened down. So you can see the difference there. So what I got to do is get up there and find a place to mount this and drill a hole in the boat that these two wires can run through. Then I'll mount this up there and seal around it, and I can run my cables inside, and they just got to run. What I'll do is I know I've got a little access hole inside the rear berth that I use to get to the backing plates for this. So I'm gonna put it pretty close to there because I know I can access it. It'll probably go like somewhere like so, probably something like that. So I can run the wires down the arch into here, and they'll go inside the boat, and they just have to run up to about right here. Right inside here is where all my electrical is, right here. So it'll just, you know, that seems like a pretty straight shot. So that's the plan, that's what I'm gonna do, and let me get to it and I'll show you how it turns out. All right, so far I went up there and I measured how far away my cross members should be, and I also measured how far I want this end from right here. So I don't want it directly underneath the mast, because sometimes when I'm putting it up, it'll slide back here and rest on this arch. So I want it far enough over that it's not gonna just sit up right on top of the solar panel. So I measured 6 inches off of here to where I want it here. Okay, and then 12 inches between these brackets. So that's how I got it laid out. Let me show you in here. What I started is I got 6 inches off of here. So, and then I'm gonna mount my first brace right across there like that. Then measure 12 inches off of that, come down here, do the same thing, and mount this one here. So it'll be like that. So flip it over. Once I do that, then I can go up there and figure out where to drill the holes in here to mount it to the arch. And then what I'll do is probably go ahead and mount these to the arch and then get up there and put my solar panel on. And another thing I did is I measured out these stainless steel bolts. They were a little too long. So hopefully, and with them being Phillips head, I didn't want to put them in from the underside this way. So I'm going to put them in from the top side like this and put the nut on the back side. And it's a nylon nut, just so you know, so it'll lock on there. So that way I can just get a pair of pliers and hold the nut side and run the screw in. Yeah, that's where I'm at. All right. So this is what I got so far. I got my cross members drilled up, mounted up. I don't know if you can see. Let's see, I got the screw just barely coming through, enough for one of these nuts to go all the way up on it. So I'll be able to reach in there with some pliers and run my screw in. So I got those. Now what I'm going to do is take these off and take them up there on the boat and lay out the screws. Let's see, I bought some last night. Bought some painting stuff to paint this stripe on the side. Here's my bolts that I got. Old Home Depot. Put in a plug for them. If they want to sponsor me, great, because I go there all the time. All right, so I got 1/4 inch, 3.5 inch bolts, which are pretty heavy, but they'll fit in here, and I'm hoping these 3.5s are long enough to go through that bracket and through that. This is, we know this is 3/4 inch. So that leaves 2 3/4, which I think is what I used on these. These are 2 3/4, I believe. So that should be about perfect. Here, I'll tell you what, let me get one out of the bag. We'll hold it up here. So it's got a, I'm shooting right into the sun. But oh yeah, plenty long enough. Might actually have to cut some of these off. So anyway, let me lay this out. I'll drill the holes in those brackets. I'll mount the brackets, and I'll bring the solar panel up here and mount it to the brackets. So show you what it looks like when I'm done. All right, so I got my solar panel mounted up now, and I'm gonna go ahead and start running the wires. So this is what it looks like. I decided to have it as far off the back of the boat as I could, and like I said, I don't want it to be in the way of the mast when I start raising it. You know, if I have to pick it up on this end, it rides on that arch a little bit sometimes, and it's actually kind of helpful to get the spreader bars over the top of the lifelines there. But anyway, there it is, mounted up. See how it's hanging off the back and it's off to the side. It actually looks like it can provide some, you know, just a little bit of shade for us here. Anyway, see, the 2 wires are right here. I'm gonna run them down. The next thing I gotta do is drill a hole for my entry gland right here and seal it up, and then go inside the boat, run the wires forward and hook it up to the charge controller. And that's basically it. So not a whole lot to this solar panel stuff. Or so I think. I haven't got it running yet, but we'll see here shortly. So let me do that and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, project is done. So let's check it out. All right, so here we are. Solar panel is mounted up here. It slopes a little bit to the back, but it's fine. It'll get most of the sun. See our brackets here, everything mounted up, and then here's the wires, and I just ran them down the arch here to the entry gland, and I siliconed it real good and tightened these up, so I should have a pretty good chance of not getting water inside. So anyway, it enters the boat there, and I'll show you on the inside. The inside wiring was pretty tough, so I used my little cover that I put in before. So I used it to fish the wires down, and then I fished them up all the way along here, and I got them up into here, and I thought I might be able to fish it down using that wire down into my power compartment here. And I tried a bunch of different ways, and I just could not figure it out. So what I did is I got it to here, and then I put some of this stuff called hurricane tape on, and it's white, so it kind of matches. And I just ran it down the wall and drilled a hole right down in here. So it comes in and it connects to the charge controller. See if I can get a shot of it. So you can see there, right now it's on float charge at 13.6, 13.7 volts. Now, when I first hooked this up, as soon as I hooked it to the solar panels, it started charging immediately. And for some reason it got put into 24 volt mode, and there's like a settings menu, and I started going through, and I had to back all the values off, like for my float charge, when do I want it to start charging, and that sort of thing. Anyway, I ended up just disconnecting from the batteries and from the solar charger, and followed the directions, and it said to connect it to the batteries first, so I did that, and I was reading battery voltage, 12.6. And then I connected the solar panel to the charge controller, and it started charging immediately like it did before, but this time it was in 12 volt mode. So I didn't have to go in and reset any of my values. I just used the default. So it's going to float charge at 13.6. Let me get the paper and I'll tell you all the different settings. Here it is right here. So 13.7 is your float charge. 12.6 is the discharge reconnect. And then discharge stop is 10.7. So after 10.6, if it gets lower than 10.7, it's not going to try to charge them, I don't think. So anyway, it's pretty cool. Right now I've got it set up so that my battery select switch will select which battery is being charged. So right now I've got it on both. I can switch it over to 1 or 2. And what's pretty neat is I got the battery voltage right here on my switch panel. So when I turn it off, it's still sending power to this fuse panel. So you can see it's kind of jumping around. It doesn't really know what to do. I can put a load on it and see it's running my lights inside. That's with no battery hooked up. I can hit the radio comes on, the radio's run off this panel. So it doesn't have enough juice to quite get the radio to play, but it will turn it on. If I hit the batteries, if I turn one of the batteries on, then you can hear the static on the radio. Anyway, it's pretty neat. I don't have to worry about my batteries discharging. So I can just pretty much just leave this switch on and my batteries will be in float charge all the time, which is good news. I don't have to worry about them. I'll just keep them good and healthy. Anyway, that's it for the electrical. So I sorted everything out, got everything working, added some new lights, got my exterior lights working. Everything electrically works. Also figured out my shore power issue, which I think was just my fault. I think I had the cable hooked up wrong on the outside. So I've got shore power, got DC power throughout the boat. Everything works. And now I've got a solar charger, which will charge my batteries while I'm at anchor, or, you know, it's going to come in handy if I do some overnights. So, man, it's coming along. The next thing I'm gonna do, I wanted to sort out the radio. I know it's not super important, but I want to get the radio going so that I can have some good tunes in here. Right now, the way it came, I've got one speaker here, I got one speaker back there. That one doesn't even work. So I really just have one speaker right here. And I have an extra one of these in a box that came with the boat. So I think what I'm gonna do, the plan is to keep this one. That one I'm gonna take out, and I'm actually gonna do a mod in a future video where I extend the front berth. So I've seen this on a lot of forums. I'm gonna build a piece that comes across here. It basically blocks this off, and then I can extend the berth out to make it a little bit longer, to make the bed bigger. So I'll take that seat rest off, and then I'll have that whole area as a bed. But I got to build a little platform right here. And then what I'm going to do is take that extra speaker that's like this one and mount it in that box that I'm going to build. So I'll have another speaker that matches this inside. And then on Amazon they had a deal on some cheap marine speakers. I think they're Pile, and they're 6.5 inch speakers, and I'm gonna install those out here in the cockpit. And I've been kind of looking, I was eyeballing this little area right here, but I don't think I want to cut a big hole right there. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to mount them down here, I think. So put one here and one on this side. Put 2 speakers in so I can listen to music out here and inside the boat. And then after that, I think it's just all cosmetic stuff. Well, I take that back. I gotta install some bilge pumps and route the hoses and stuff for those. I'll use the existing through holes for the galley sink and the head sink. They have through holes on each side, so I'll tie into those for the discharge on my bilge pumps. And the rest of it, like I said, is just cosmetic stuff that I'm gonna start working on. I want to get all the stuff I don't know what it is and doesn't have any use for me. I want to get it off. So like these look like they're just command strips. They were probably put here to hold the lines, you know, but they're not doing anything right now. So I'm gonna take this stuff off. I'm not really sure what this is. I got one on the other side. I'm gonna take that off. This little bracket, I don't know what it is. I've got another one right here on the rail. It doesn't do anything. So I'm just gonna go through the boat, take off any stuff that I don't know what it is and doesn't serve any use for me. I'll take it off, patch the holes, that sort of thing. And then I've also got some black topside paint, which will probably be the next video. I'll work on that if I don't do the speakers first. But I'm gonna paint this black stripe that's on the side right here, because you can see the fiberglass coming through. So I'm gonna paint that stripe, and I might even paint around the windows and everything too, just to give it kind of a fresher look. But anyway, I think it's coming along. The electrical I was dreading, but it wasn't so bad, and it's done now, and it's done right. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll keep posting my progress here. Summertime, so I should be able to start doing some more of these videos. Anyway, I'll quit talking now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.